Good morning, everyone. I'm Katie, and welcome to my mini parenting class. Today, I'm going to talk about grandparenting and being an auntie or uncle. I grew up with an aunt and uncle that lived about an hour away from my home, and I saw them maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I did not have the privilege of growing up with grandparents. My parents had 3 children, so that means I have 2 siblings. And it was a lot of work for them. Raising children, I think, is the hardest job on our planet. It's the most, it's the job that you will learn the most from, and the job that will really work you the hardest, I think. So now I'm a grown up. I have grown children and I have grandchildren. About 11 years ago, I was listening to a radio. Actually, I think it was a podcast. I was listening to a podcast, and it talked about, no, at the time, they're a podcast now, but it was a radio station at the time, and they were talking about a radio show. And I was driving home from Sacramento, and I listened, and they shared what the award was: grandma names, or grandparent name, pair name of the year at the time. Maybe it was like 15. No, actually, it was close to 20 years ago, I think, at this point. So anyhow, I listened, and the winning grandparent names were Lolly and Lollipop. So I still have not met a man that doesn't love the name Pop. For some reason, men really think that's a really cool name, Pop, right? Now, the name Lolly is a little odd. I grew up with a girl who her last name was Lolly in high school. But I thought, Lollipop sounds really sweet. It sounds inviting. It sounds fun. It sounds interesting and different. And so I tucked that away in my head about 20 years ago. And I thought, one day, if I am a grandmother, my name will be Lolly, and my husband, my partner, his name will be Pop. And that's what we did. So about 8 years ago, my first grandson came, and then 7 years ago, my second grandson arrived, and 4 years ago, my third grandson arrived. And so we are Lolly and Pop to them. I love being a grandmother. It's a hard job. It's a fun job. It's an exhausting job, but it's a very fulfilling job. It's a beautiful job, because I know that I am much older than my grandchildren, and I'm only around for part of the ride. I will not be with them till the end of their life, but they will be with me, hopefully, till the end of my life, whenever that may be. And so as a parent, we're just trying to get through day to day, putting food on the table, making sure our children go to those little people, our children go to bed on time. They have healthy foods. They have 10, little ones need 10 to 12 hours of sleep a night. That we want to do so many things. My phone is ringing. We want so many things. We have to provide so many things, right, for our children. But as a grandparent, I'm thinking more now in terms of my legacy. What will they remember? We're creating memories with each other. And so I never really had a grandmother. My abuelita was in Honduras. My mother's from Honduras, and my abuelita, I only saw her. She came to the United States for my birth. I lived in Honduras for 6 months as a small child, and I visited her when I was 11. And those are the only, I visited her for when I was 11 for only 2 weeks. So I have very limited experience, very limited stories to share, personal stories about my abuelita. My other grandmother passed away at the age of 27 when my father was only 2 or 3 years old. So, and I have a step grandmother on my dad's side that I saw probably 5 times in my whole lifetime. So now I tell my grandsons, I am your grandmother. My grandmother name is Lolly, but I am your grandmother. And I honor what my children want. How, if there are ideas on what I should feed them, what I should not feed them, things I ask permission on things we could do, or things if I ask if it's okay if we do certain things. And so I'm honoring my children by loving their children. And what I am actually doing, I realized the other day, is that I am fashioning myself into the grandmother that I wish I had. I really wish I had an abuelita that cooked for me and took care of me and was nearby, or a grandmother that taught me how to sew, or taught me her values, her family values. I think that would have brought such a richness to my family's life, and my parents would have felt less stressed and more supported. So that's something that inside of me I yearn for, as my young Katie, my little Katie inside yearns for that beauty, that beautiful thought of a loving grandmother and a loving grandfather. That would have been amazing. So now I am being the grandmother that I wish I had. And that's what we can do in our parenting styles. We can become the mom or the dad that we wish we had. We can become the grandmother or grandfather that we wish we had. We could even be the amazing auntie or uncle that we wish we had as well. So it's up to us to create our roles and to fill in our roles in our lives with what brings us joy in our heart. I enjoy play. I have toys for my grandchildren. I appreciate the outdoors. We go to the park and play. The other day we were at the park. It was such a beautiful day. A beautiful November afternoon. I guess everybody was at the mall shopping. It was Black Saturday, Black Friday, whatever. And we were at the park for 6 hours with snacks, and it was joyful for me. And they played with the play structure. They rode their bicycles. They played with leaves and found a bee and played with the bee. Thankfully, nobody got stung. And really went on a little adventure at the park with me hovering nearby. So friends, be the mom that you've always wanted. Be the dad that you've always wanted. Be the grandmother that you've always wanted. Be the grandfather that you've always wanted. Be the caring adult in a child's life that you wish you had in your childhood. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.